recommend to switch off your cameras maybe. And we will also share the event on our Facebook page. So we will stream live. And I'm doing that right now. Sorry for this. Then also please unmute your mics. You will have an occasion to discuss and speak to each other in the breakout sessions. We have prepared a small period of time in which you will be able to get to know each other. And also you can turn off your cameras, of course, if you want to save some internet connection. Please, we want this interaction with us to be very interactive from your side. You can use anytime the chat function to ask your questions, or basically to get in touch with us. I am not alone. We have a beautiful team that is also connected and is helping us to monitor your questions and also discuss all these elements with you. And this being said, I think we can move on to maybe introducing ourselves to you very briefly. And for this, I will give the floor to our colleague Selma from Jamba to introduce herself and the organization.
Thank you, Elena, very much for this introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Selma, and I'm part of Jamba Career for All team. Jamba is a social enterprise, which mission is to support people with disabilities to attain key competences, the soft and professional skills. So Jamba organizing courses and workshops for soft skills, English skills, and also professional courses in different areas. But we are mostly focused on IT sector, especially on artificial intelligence industry. As a follow-up step, we support people with disabilities to start work by connecting them with employers. In addition to that, we also work actively with the companies. We support them with diversity and inclusion sessions and actually how to offer working inclusive environment. Also, we have an online job board, which help us to establish the connection between people with disabilities and employers. We operate already in Bulgaria and Hungary, and from this year also in Austria. For us is also very important awareness campaigns and events. And at the moment, we are preparing an awareness campaign for the 3rd of December, which is International Day of People with Disabilities, where we want to present stories of people with disabilities who are successful professionals in different areas. And also we organize 2 big events, Career Fair and Run Together. It's a sport charity event. Partners are very precious to us. And among our partners, as you can see in this slide, are NGOs, university, different companies and organizations. And what we believe at Jamba, that together and united, and when all stakeholders are included in the process, we can achieve results and build more inclusive society. Yeah, that's all from my side. If you will have any questions about Jamba's activities or anything, you are more than welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Selma. And we are really very grateful to Jamba and Selma and Eva and Laura, the entire team, for collaborating with us on this initiative. So now a few words about AIDA. Yes. So AIDA is a tech non-profit organization and a member of the European AI Alliance, which was founded in Vienna in Austria in 2019 and has expanded very quickly in the Middle East and Africa. And I'm not alone from the organization on this call. I have my colleagues joining from Uganda, from Romania, and other places. Our mission is really to support communities by engaging with them on topics related to artificial intelligence and empowering them to understand how this technological transformation can improve their own lives. Basically, the organization works to create more knowledge around artificial intelligence, create content, and empower these communities around the world, and making sure that they are integrated into the product development, into the process and policies that are created around the world. We think that without this action, without a strong civil society, and without citizens implicated in and involved in the process of AI transformation, we may have maybe solutions that are not as useful for the society, but may create more harm. And I think there is enough proof to see this as a major challenge. And in this sense, our activities cover a portfolio built on three main pillars. We do AI awareness and AI literacy, and this meetup is basically part of the program that we do as AI awareness. We have research and training programs. Of course, we also organize events and conferences, and we had organized a conference in Vienna last year, for instance, and we run a program of ambassadors and volunteers from around the world. We are a small team, 8 in total, but 4 to 5 core members dedicated to AIDA, and we may have new people joining the organization as well, and we'll look forward to that. Our partners are a treasure for us, and as you can see, they vary from a little bit private sector, but also some of the public sector and universities, Jamba, of course, and as well in Pakistan, for instance, we have partnered with the Youth Advocacy Council of Pakistan to bring AI to their communities as well. And I would, in continuation, I would like to say a few words about the context in which we are going to deliver these talks. I think our society basically is experiencing an accelerated digital transformation in our personal and professional lives, and artificial intelligence seems to be the perfect tool for this. But without each of us and a strong civil society taking part in the debate, as I was saying before, in Europe and also around the world, this risks to having missing opportunities to create a better society, and maybe to even develop some social harm. So this series of talks are part of our bigger effort to ensure that all citizens are represented and empowered in the era of artificial intelligence. It is a vast subject. We will not be able to go through 80 years of technological development in artificial intelligence, but we hope that we'll be able to share with you some recent insights, challenges and opportunities in AI, and also basically stimulate a critical thinking around the topic. Our vision, joint vision for this initiative is to ensure that all citizens are represented and empowered to create knowledge and understanding around this topic. This is, as I said, a series of different talks that we are going to give on AI. Each talk will have a different focus, like AI in education, or the next one, for instance, will be on how AI can help to build a more inclusive post-COVID world, for instance, tackling here challenges for people with different abilities. And the third talk will be in December on leading in the era of AI, where we will look at the economic ecosystem around artificial intelligence, and we also tap into the future of work and kind of skills of the future that are being analyzed and seen as the skills to have if you want to, have a successful professional life, but also personal life. So this series will be it's basically a series of 10 talks in total, bi-monthly. So every second week, more or less, we will have one talk, and here you can see the dates for the next two. So the next one will be in November 26th, and the other one will be in December the 10th. And at the end of this meetup, we will share the link in case you want to register for the next one. In November 26th, you will be able to do so, as we will share it with you. Now let's go quickly through the topics that we are going to tackle today. as the title of this meetup kind of already, you know, showed some light on what we are going to discuss, is looking at the history of artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence became so important for us today, what it is. We will check some areas of implementation of artificial intelligence in the public administration, private sector, and also in international development, as we believe that AI is really a strong force to support the sustainable development agenda. We will briefly discuss some challenges and opportunities. As I said, it is such a vast subject. We will not be able to cover everything, but I hope that you will be able to cover certain aspects maybe in the breakout sessions, as we have prepared one breakout session for you today of 15 minutes. So after the content will be presented, you will be split into different groups. If each group will have a moderator from our team to make sure that the discussion gets started, and you have the opportunity to get to know each other and exchange on certain ideas, after which you will come back to this plenary or general room, and hopefully each group would like to present their key findings or key takeaways, or inspiration, or maybe topics for future meetups. And we are very grateful as well for those of you that have submitted the survey. There was a very short survey to be filled in before this meetup. The main purpose was for us to get to know a little bit the audience, and also prepare the content of this meetup. And we wanted to highlight here some of the responses we have received. For instance, one of the questions was, what's your first thought when you think of AI? And some of you were very creative in in their answers. For instance, today, when robots will iron my clothes, I also look really forward to that, and I hope that will happen very soon, let's say. All right, so now let's get started, and I would like us to start with something from our life, something fun from our life, like a game. So rock, paper, or scissors. I hope more or less we can all connect with this game, and maybe you have played rock, paper, scissors. I wonder, how much time did it take you to be successful at this game, and who teach you rock, paper, scissors? Now, one scientist actually thought that it would be great to automate this game, and his name was Markov. And he thought that by automating this game, he will enable the program to learn how to play, first of all. Will observe the game, the program will observe the game, and basically learn to press the right keys in order to maximize its score. What he didn't know when he started trying to automatize this game was that basically the program learned to play by itself without any need of programming. It learned from its mistakes, it corrected its behavior or responses, I would say, and maximized the scores. So this is a very small, game and event in our life, but basically this little program, this automation in the hands of ecologists, of computer scientists, financial engineers, etc. This is a big model of Markov chains. So the name of, as I said, the scientist was Markov. So it's a Markov chains that can be quite large and very powerful. And for instance, in our daily life, Google uses exactly this kind of automation and this Markov chain to determine the order of our search results in Google, which is basically called PageRank. So it can start from a very funny and an easy, easy game, to basically much more complex algorithms and much more complex kind of technology. So this is a small event in our life, a fun game, but what if we were to do the same in our life? What if we were, able to automatize our decisions, our preferences maybe? What would we need for that? What did that mean? Thinking back of rock, paper, scissors, that would mean basically to gather data and find a way to automatically solve these problems. So what would we really need to do that? What we would need is data and intelligence. And to be more precise, that would be big data and artificial intelligence. So now we are getting to the topic, artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? There are many definitions out there, and I think scientists are still, debating, and they cannot come up with one single definition for AI. But in brief, if we were to link artificial intelligence to big data, we can say that AI is big data that can tell a story. And we will discuss a little bit more about that. Or we can also say that artificial intelligence is a technology that describes software, or is a science basically that describes software that mimic human cognition and perception. And there are different applications of AI as well. Some of the more scientific definitions, for instance, could be that the theory and development of computer systems that helps to perform tasks requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. So now we will have a look at each of those. But for now, I would like us to play a little quiz, and we have prepared something for you. We will see if that is working. Perfect, wonderful. So you have there 2 questions. You can start voting, please, for those questions. You will have about 30 seconds. Very easy questions, amazing. I can already see, I see there are answers coming in. Come on, don't be shy. Share with us. It's anonymous, so no one would know who is answering these questions. Wonderful, great. And we will have also the opportunity to see the results, right? Okay, so I see that the first question is, so do you think you are or have been interacting with AI in your daily or professional life? And everybody says yes, that's correct. I think so. I think so too. And then the second question is how AI can help us, or what exactly could help us with. And I see that no one really thought, no one voted for none of the above. Correct. Exactly. And I think this is basically what the slide that I was showing you previously. Great. Okay. Basically all, reasoning, perception, navigation, knowledge, and language. These are all topics that AI is dealing with, or basically these are objectives of AI. And we will go into a little bit into details in the presentation. Great. So very quick to show you the results. Wonderful. I think we are all on the same page. Great. Now let's move on and let's discuss about the history of artificial intelligence. How did AI develop? Well, AI is really not something new, and I think this is something that some people don't know. So the first kind of terminology of AI, or the first time science started thinking about an intelligence that would be somehow artificial, was in 1940 by Norbert Vienna, after which the AI has been established as a discipline in the UK. And in 1970s, as you can see on the chart, AI suffered a little bit. There was the world was going through a crisis, and basically, the powers, the academia, the private sector, the government lost interest in AI, so there were less funding pumped into the research of artificial intelligence, and this is what we call the winter, or AI winter, basically. And then a few things happened. In 1997, basically, the IBM AI chess program defeated the reigning world champion, Kasparov, back then the Russian champion, and this was a huge, event around the world. And then a few years later, in 2011, IBM Watson defeated the Jeopardy champion. So even a more complex game where technology basically shows that it can be as powerful as a human, if not even more powerful. And then in 2015, DeepMind's AlphaGo program defeated the European champion, Fang Hui, in 5 games of Go. And you may have seen some videos on YouTube of Fang Hui really couldn't figure out what was happening. His world was narrowed. So powerful became this technology within, if you look at the timeline, within maximum 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, let's say. Very powerful. And we will look a little bit later into why this is this the case. So, but as you were very, very correct in your answers to the poll, AI has different objectives or sub-objectives of AI, and they are perception, reasoning, navigation as well, for instance, natural language processing, and also knowledge representation. And we will look now into each of them. Knowledge representation. What does this mean? Basically, it means that the machine will find a way to understand and classify terms of things in the world, such as computers or thought or tools, etc. And we'll be able to distinguish a computer from a thought, or a thought from a cat. And so on. Now, when it comes to reasoning, is related to some of the examples I gave you before. Basically, having such a developing a system in which the decision making is automatic, but B, it remembers the moves that the player has made before, and it's also basically making the best choice in a very, very fast and quick manner. And that would mean, for as you can see, for this game, for the machine to win a chess game, a Go, etc., but also diagnose diseases such as cancer, which has been a breakthrough in the health industry. AI has proven to be more accurate and more rapid in diagnosing cancer and other diseases as a human being or as a medical personnel. When it comes to navigation, I think this may be something that everybody really can relate to. You have Google Maps, right? So Google Maps is artificial intelligence. It helps us to navigate in this beautiful world. It can identify where we are located, where we want to go. It can calculate for us the quickest track, how to avoid some obstacles, and etc. And also self-driving cars. If we think a little bit farther, as a technology and industry, this is also part of AI, or part of the sub-objectives of artificial intelligence. Now, natural language processing, you may have used Alexa, you may have used Siri. So this is another type of AI technology, is basically looking into how to speak a language and learning how to speak a language, how to understand the language, understand the context, and how to make sense out of a sentence, for instance. And the last one is related to perception. So the way in we see and feel and touch certain things in our real world is part of virtual reality, and it can be anything that has to do with touch, smell, sight, sound, etc. And another term that you may have heard of is artificial general intelligence, and I think this is one of the topics everybody's kind of scared of a little bit, because they say, well, if we get to a certain point in which we will achieve, or have this artificial general intelligence, then the machine will become more powerful than a human being, etc. From the research I have read and spoke to some scientists, we are very far from reaching that stage. But what they meant actually with this is to find to get to a point where reasoning will start to talk to the decision making. Basically, what we've seen before were sub-objective of AI, and each of them work independently. And for now, only a few start to correspond and talk to each other, like the navigation to the perception, for instance, or navigation to Alexa, for instance, to the natural language processing. For now, they are still very, very separate. They remain separate. So if we get to a point where we can make them all interact with each other, then we will be able to have creativity in artificial intelligence or through technology, to have intuition, something that is very, very difficult to program, to code, to translate into an algorithm, or emotional intelligence. So the ideal or the thought behind it is to find a way in which all these different types of sub-objectives of AI would be able then to start to talk and communicate and engage with each other, develop their own language to do that. And and that could be then scary for some people, but we are very far away from that. All right, so we have seen that AI is not something new. It has been out there for many years. We understand it has certain objectives, is an algorithm, is a technology. It is, of course, much more complex and sophisticated than that, but we try to make it simple. But why is it so important for us today? And one of the reasons why we all talk about AI today, including ourselves, is of course, it touches on the human cognition. So it challenges the human skills, human way of working and or of living, etc. But also it increases productivity for a company, for an economy, for a country, but also for us individually. And how is that possible? Basically, we have huge amounts of data available today. Each of us is millions of points of data that we share every day, every minute, every second on all the platforms that we are using, on Google Maps, on Facebook, on Instagram, etc. This is data that is put out there and enables certain players in the world to collect all this information and make sense out of it. Making sense, they interpreting, analyzing it. Basically, they understand how to having this data and understanding how we interact with each other, how certain industries operate, etc. They are able to develop better business models, better operating models in general, which of course, with better data, better models, you also increase the productivity, as I said, being at at the individual level, company or country as a whole. So mainly this is crucial for, of course, for an economy or for a business, and it has been enabled through the huge amounts of data that we have available, that is then used by scientists to develop new algorithms, to train them even better. And the more data you have, the better the technology gets to resolving issues, taking decisions, etc. So basically, this is one of the main reasons why we are talking about AI so much today. Artificial intelligence is broad. It covers different sectors, as you can see on the slide. And I would say one of the main, of course, robotics is also very developed, but one of the main subsectors, subtopic, thematic that is developed is machine learning and deep learning. And I would just say a few words about machine learning. We can have an extra session if you want on the technicalities of AI, but for today we want to provide you with an overview and introduction on AI in general. So what is machine learning? Is a sub-domain of artificial intelligence. It's basically a study and a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So without being taught, okay, if you add 2 plus 2, you will always have the result 4. Basically, machine learning gives the machine the freedom to learn by itself from its own mistakes and from the interaction with maybe with other parameters around, how to process faster and better the information, and how to deliver, for instance, or how to suggest decisions. Machine learning is a very vast domain here as well. So you have, it's like this matryoshka, you know, this Russian figures. The more you open, you have AI, and then you open, you have machine learning, and when you open machine learning, you have even more dimensions. But just to give you an idea, everything that is related to forecasting, to predictions, to diagnosis, to customer retention, you know, in marketing, for instance, image classification, fraud detection into crime and cybercrime, but also skill acquisition and learning tasks which are linked to our own individual development, I would say, are part of AI and are part of machine learning, and is a technology that can has the potential basically to help us grow in these different directions. Who is using AI? If you think nobody is using AI, but I don't think that. So everybody is using AI, from Airbnb, as you can see on the slide, who uses AI to rank the different prices, to Facebook, of course, who has a chatbot, but more than that, is helping us with our decisions and preferences, to Google, as I said before, that is using AI to rank the pages. And 2 more examples: Google Translate, I think we already discussed that, and AutoDraw, which is another fun tool to have if you haven't experienced that. Basically, it's a software that will very quickly understand what you want to draw. So even if you're not an expert on the topic, it's a very smart tool that will pick up immediately on your drawing vision. So what does this all mean? AI is not something new. It has a huge potential for all of us in many sectors, in many industries. We see that is growing rapidly, and in particular now during Corona crisis we experience a boom in technology, in AI development. Of course, it has the opportunity for us all. It has the opportunity, for instance, in the public sector. It is used mainly in Estonia and in Abu Dhabi for sentences. So in courts, they are testing now robot judges to help them with sentencing, accurate sentencing, where it's basically easier to program the machine. In agriculture, in identifying good crops from bad crops, for instance. In transportation, we have already seen it, but also in marketing, in category optimization in different industries around the world, and retail, etc. So it has applications in all industries. Now, governments, of course, are also looking into the importance of AI, and we have more than 50 countries around the world that are developing strategies and policies on artificial intelligence. These strategies are highly diverse, both in terms of depth and area of focus, but it's just an example for you to see how important AI is, and that governments are really considering developing the right tools and the right policies to tackle this challenge and opportunity. Now, when it comes to AI for social good, of course, AI is also expected to have a substantial impact on the Sustainable Development Agenda by providing concrete solutions to enable the delivery of all 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And at our core at AIDA, we basically seek to understand how AI can shape the sustainable development agenda and what solutions exists already out there. And what you see on the screen, I know you are not able to read it, is no problem. It will be made available at some point when the map will be finalized. Basically, we are trying to map solutions that are out there, AI-based solutions that are out there, and are tackling any of the SDGs that is under the UN mandate to be implemented. So yeah, bear with us. Once will be more or less finalized, we will share this with you. Now, we have seen what the government is doing about artificial intelligence. We see that even at a more, international level, international development level, AI is useful. But we can also say that AI is useful for the community, and parts of us believe that the right way to go about AI transformation and helping societies embrace AI, understanding challenges as opportunities, is by having and promoting community-based AI. There are training programs that are run around the world in which people bring parents and children together to learn about AI. They identify issues in their own community, such as being bullied at school or waste management, for instance. And then with their knowledge on AI, they try to see if AI can solve these problems in their own community. And no one knows better their problems as their community itself. So we think that this may be one way to go about introducing AI in our own lives. The opportunities are striking, I think, and I have tried to highlight some of those. It goes from personalized services to basically, AI is shaping our labor market as well. So, and the skills that are needed and may have to develop to increase profitability and new decision-making models. But also the challenges are multiple and are many, and we will have a separate session dedicated in particular to AI in ethics, for instance, and in human rights. And some of the challenges, as you can see, are bias and ethics related, are diversity related, and of course, limited capacity to engage with AI or use AI. Also data accessibility in some parts of the world. We still have 50% of our total population not connected to the internet. We should not forget that. And also data ownership, privacy, and security. There are a few key takeaways that you can maybe think about and discuss them in particular during the breakout session. AI, again, is not something new. We understand it has a huge potential to shape industries and also shape our own lives. One way to go about it is to engage more the community, engage more the citizens in the development, in the design of these technologies. But in particular, I think we really have to start debate and question AI and its development, and basically become critical thinkers. And I think this is one of the main reasons for our discussion today. And without further talking from my side, I thank you very much, and I will give the floor to Selma to put us into the breakout rooms. Thank you very much. Just bear with us. Wonderful. I think we are back. Yeah, is everybody back with us? Selma?
Yes, most of the people. Yeah, some are coming back. Yeah, but the rooms are closed, so everybody is back, who wants to be back. Yeah.
All right. Great. Fabulous. Well, thank you all for your contributions and participations. It has been a pleasure for us to have you with us. I hope you had interesting discussions in your breakout groups. And the idea was that per group, one person will present the key findings or key topics that were discussed within this 15 minutes. So who wants to start from room 1, breakout session 1? I hope you nominated someone. If not, the moderator will have to.
Yeah, Anna Maria
I think
was moderator.
we were the first in the first room, and I took the notes. 15 minutes were quite few for our discussion, and we discussed with Corina and Mogul. We lost somehow Mogul on the way because of the internet connection, but he also had his input on the first question. And regarding the way we think that AI will influence our future and positive and negative implications, there was this idea that yes, indeed, companies make use of new technologies and develop different applications and focus on technology and on innovation. But there is also the question how much of it is used for the social good and how much of it is focused on humans and on enabling people to have better lives. So this should require better attention. So the question would be, is developing an app for the sake of developing the domain, the technology, or for the human good, for the social good. There is also the idea that technology and AI will bring great opportunities for businesses to develop and to help them grow. But there are also negative sides, like influencing the labor market. Of course, some jobs will be created, but others will be lost, and people will remain without jobs or will not have the necessary skills for the new jobs that will be created. And this is like a fear that some people share regarding the way artificial intelligence will influence our future. And regarding how AI could could become misaligned with human values and goals. We discussed about the fear somehow of not respecting the regulations that are being adopted. There are some regulations and norms put in place, but there should also be others, and this is a field that is growing, but there comes a question whether they will be respected or not by companies or by those that will develop AI based technologies. So yeah, to draw a conclusion, we could say that AI will certainly have a positive impact on our lives, but we should keep an eye on how it will be developed and regulated.
Thank you, Anna Maria, for sharing this with us. Yes, and I think one of the reasons why we are debating around these topics here today is to make sure that everybody is represented in the process of putting in place the right regulations, etc. Thank you. Well, it seems like you had an amazing discussion there. So, session 2.
Yes, please. Norman here. I was taking the notes, and we actually had a very amazing deliberation. Certainly, 15 minutes were not enough. Like group 1 experience, yeah, people had brilliant ideas and different opinions, but certain things that came out were like how AI is impacting manufacturing and advanced manufacturing and value chain, and how businesses are adapting to environmental changes or what changes occur in the manufacturing sector. Also, in our group, people shared about about how AI is helping people with visual impairment or hearing impairment, and one of the participants saw that it will be a very great aspect in helping these kids or people who cannot hear in communication, and maybe able to show what they feel and express themselves. And also that AI is also helping in navigation and transport. You can be able to know where you're going before you start your journey, and how much distance you will have actually to cover in that journey that you will have to take. And certainly that's a positive impact, but of course there are negative impacts that comes along with AI, and there are certain ways that AI can be misaligned with human values. Things like, because we had a discussion that AI should not only be developed, should not only be developed because of technological advancement, but people, cause it's developed and used by human beings. So human beings should have concern for what technology they develop, and when they're developing it, they should have in mind that the technology they produce should have social impact. Maybe we're developing it for environmental conservation, we're developing it to aid in maybe government accountability or another sector. So it's us to take a keen interest in what impact the AI brings into when not actually paid attention to. And I would like Emmanuel to say something about data privacy, also in the sector of AI, that we thought could be a negative impact, and that could lead to that can deviate from human values. Emmanuel, are you there? Oh, I think we lost Emmanuel. Yeah, but certainly AI, because there are a lot of technology, that has been developed, and certainly this information we feed into the computer, and because maybe you have a Google Home Assistant, and it has to know your temperature, it has to know the room temperature, or know who is calling and all that. But this information is collected, and we do not actually know where it is stored or who is responsible for it. And if I want it wiped from the internet, or do I have a choice about that? So it's certainly, we cannot guarantee that our data that we give, like in such AI technologies, actually safe. It can also be used against a certain individual who is trying to utilize certain technologies. So it's certainly a risk, and a breach can cause a risk and a breach in data privacy and security. And so we should take keen interest. So in a nutshell, of course, it's a force for good, and we have seen like it can help. It can help in advancing and helping us do certain jobs and operate certain tasks, and actually save a lot of time and maybe resources. But at the same time, we have to pay attention to what technology is developed and what action is actually behind the development of certain technology, and how we actually use it, because it can cause harm.
Yes, thank you. It sounds like you had more than 15 minutes. You almost drafted a research piece. So our discussion went. So I was in the session pre, and our discussion was a lot around AI for development and how we can solve real life problems. And we had a small group of around 4 people in total. And we had one person in the group that is looking into studying more and researching more in AI for development. Basically has a technical background and is looking into that right now. And then we also had someone that was really interested in exploring more on how AI can be supportive for social good. And I think we can we can discuss it as a team, and maybe have a session mainly specialized on social good purely. Yeah, so there's, as you see, AI is such a vast and broad domain, and it is impossible to cover in 20 minutes. And it wasn't our goal either to cover everything in 20 minutes. Our goal was to engage with you, to give a certain introduction, try to bring everybody more or less on the same page when it comes to AI, and then hopefully have your interest so that you can join us in other talks that we are going to organize. I have shared a link with you to register for the next talk, which will look into how AI can help basically can create a more inclusive and a more diverse post-COVID world. So we will dedicate the session to people with diverse abilities. So please feel free to join us. It will be in November the 26th. The link is shared with you on chat. And of course, if you are part of the meetup group, you can also register through meetup directly. You have our contact details for both organizations. Feel free to reach out to us, and feel free to share with us feedback on this session as well. We are more than happy and looking forward to having your contributions and your ideas. Thank you very much again for your time. I would like to thank each of my colleagues and partners for the wonderful collaboration and all the help with the content and the technicalities, etc. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Anna Maria. Thank you, Selma, Norman, Emmanuel, Laura. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you. Goodbye.